Hey guys, I didn't do a video yesterday because I didn't really have anything to talk about. I didn't feel very good. I went to work and I don't know what it was. I just was really tired, and then I had kind of a sinus headache. When I got up yesterday, I blew my nose and all this gunk came out of it. So I don't know, the weather's changing pretty dramatically. It went from highs in the 80s last week to now, it's supposed to be a high on Saturday of like 60. And at night it's cooling down, so I don't know if that's why I didn't feel well, but I took some Excedrin and it kind of made me feel better, and I feel alright today. But I'm not going to work, as you can tell. I'm going to the eye doctor to do my 1 month post-op appointment. Everything seems good. So far it's amazing I can see again, but I haven't really been watching anything except still Halloween Wars. I got kind of hooked on that, and then I was watching Kino Casino last night, covering the Ralph stuff. Something I did think was I was thinking about this on the way home the other night, and I was thinking about the 1970s. I only lived through 6 months of it, so I don't remember any of it. And I thought, would it be cool if there was a time machine and you could go back? I know everybody always thinks about the time machine thing. That's probably why Back to the Future is such a popular movie, and it's a great movie, but everybody likes to think that they can go back in time. And I thought, would it be neat if you could decide which parts of your life you could spend in each decade? And I thought with me, I would probably live almost my whole life in the 70s and 80s. I would like to go back to the 70s. I know people that lived through it said it wasn't that great. I know my dad never really liked that decade. And Paul said the 80s were better, and that's kind of what my dad said. My dad liked the 60s too, but he was young in the 60s, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with that. I was young, like a young person I was a teenager in the 90s, and in the early 2000s, I was, in my 20s in the 2000s. I didn't really like the 2000s. Even when I was living them, I didn't really like the 90s much. But now that I'm older, I kind of get nostalgic for the 90s sometimes. Like I watched that Woodstock 3 documentary a couple years ago, and man, I just really miss my old friends and things that were going on, because when you get older, things just change, and they'll never be the same. And I mean, just your health, you don't feel as good. You have a lot more aches and pains, at least I know I do. And you start losing people, like my mom died this year. I lost my dad 2 years ago. All my uncles except for one are gone. I mean, I had a lot of uncles, and that was the thing with me. I was so much younger than my cousins. All my cousins are getting kind of old, and they don't really talk to me, and most of my family doesn't talk to me unless they want to borrow money or they want a favor. Nobody ever just reaches out to say, hey, how are you? So it gets kind of depressing. When you're younger, you still have your family, and people are less jaded, I think, when they're younger. I know I was. So I was trying to think, what decades would I want to spend in the past? And I thought, well, if I was a little kid, I'd probably do it in the 80s again like I was, because I think the 80s was a good time for cartoons and toys, and it was a more innocent time. All the kids weren't hooked on screens, and you didn't have cell phones. There was a more human connection with people. So I definitely say the 80s. Now, as far as being like a teenager, if you did it that way, or if you did it just based on like, okay, from birth to 10, you could spend a decade somewhere, I would spend it in the 80s. And then if I had to do 10 to 20, I would almost want to divide it and spend half in the 80s and then half in the 70s. I think it'd be fun to go back to the 70s and then see all the movies that I didn't get to see in the theater as a young person. Like I would go back and I would see The Godfather, and I would see Jaws. Well, actually I've seen Jaws in the theater a couple times, but I'd go see Carrie, all that stuff. I would buy all those books, first edition, when they came out, all the early Stephen King, back when he was still good. And then, I don't know, like with 30s and 40s, it wouldn't matter as much. Honestly, as much as I hate the time we're living in now for certain reasons, since the other ways it's great, like technology is wonderful because I can see, I'd probably come back in my 40s to this era just to get my eyes fixed. And maybe I would spend my 30s in the 90s just because it would be fun to go see some of the shows that, like go see the Kiss reunion and go see Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and all the bands that I listened to growing up, Nine Inch Nails, go see them in their prime. Oh, and if I went back to the 70s too as a young person, I could go see David Bowie in concert, which would be fun. And then I don't know where I would want to end my life. I would like to go in the 20s, I think. I've always liked the 20s, and I like silent movies. But at the same time, going back to the medical stuff, they don't have a lot of stuff, no antibiotics. I really wouldn't want to go back in a time when a cold or a flu I guess a flu can kill you anytime, we see that, but it would be a lot worse back then. I know my grandfather's family, this was before the 20s even, I guess this would have been the teens, they were wiped out from TB, like almost his whole family, except for like him and I think a brother. So, but it would be fun to go see a silent film. If you had the DeLorean, like in Back to the Future, I would just go back, watch a movie, and then go back to the 80s or 90s. But I would just come back to this era to get medical work done, and then go back, and then you could skip out on your bill too. I don't know how you would do that. You'd have to have fake IDs. I mean, there would be a whole thing. It's just like in Back to the Future, you had that case with all the money, and different eras had different money. I don't know, but it was just something kind of fun to think about. I like to think about time travel a lot. There hasn't really been a whole lot going on. Like I said, I'm kind of addicted to Halloween Wars. I did such a fun show because I went back, because I watched season 15 up to what's out now, and then I went back and just started with season 1 and season 2, and season 2 was really good, and they have guest judges, and they had Rob Zombie was a guest judge, and R.L. Stine, and Shawnee Smith, and then they had Tom Savini was like one of the main judges that season, and I thought it was cool. And I guess that they toned it down. They used to get $50,000, which seems fair because there's 3 of them and they really have to work hard, and then now they only get $25,000 and they have to split it 3 ways. And it seems like they've kind of cheaped out on the production values now too. They don't have the guest judges. They still have that Asian girl, I don't remember what her name is. She's kind of bitchy. A lot of these people, I don't know, they're supposed to be really good. And I know Tom Savini's good at makeup and everything, so he could be a judge. But some of these people, it's like, like these actors judging. And it's like, have you ever really done this type of thing? It would be hard for me to judge, but the more you watch it, the more you can kind of see where they're going to criticize people. And the people that won season 2, I didn't think should have won. I liked the other team better. They did that really cool graveyard carving, and it was just gorgeous. And so, I don't know, I feel like they got kind of screwed. But it would be hard to judge some of that stuff. It's just, I don't know, those people are very talented. And as far as other things going on, I don't really have a lot. I almost didn't do this today. I thought, nobody even really watches. But then I thought, well, that's kind of how you build an audience. You just have to keep going. But I don't think YouTube is what it was. It's harder now. They kind of promote certain channels, and you have to have all this production value. And I don't know. I just kind of want to go back to my roots of doing toy videos. But right now, obviously, I've mentioned it before, I'm trying to clean out my shed and clean out my rooms, but there's always shit going on. And then Benji, and we're going to the Ren Fair Saturday, so that should be fun, because Benji just loves people and he'll be happy. In fact, it was funny when I was getting in the car today to go to my eye doctor appointment, he jumped in the car because he was outside. He was way across the yard and he hauled ass. I don't even know how he got to me as fast as he did, but he wanted to go, and I thought, I wish I could take you, but I have to go to work after this. It sucks too because I have all this time to kill, because I don't want to drive home because it's a lot of gas and a lot of time, because my appointment's at 11:15, and say I get out of there, it shouldn't even take, usually doesn't take too long with these appointments. They just kind of check me over, take probably 20 minutes, and then I'll get something to eat. But by the time I did all that, if I went home, say at 1, I'd have to flip around by, drive back at 2:30 to go to work, so I just bring my change of clothes and try to find stuff to do in town. I have some Kohl's cash, so I'll go to Kohl's and get something. I don't need anything, I've got clothes, I've got toys, I've got books, movies, whatever it is, I have enough of it. I guess being a hoarder all these years, you end up with a lot of stuff. So I do not lack for entertainment, that's for sure. But I don't really have anything to do. A lot of times these days when I get these early appointments, I will go to the movies. Malco has matinees. AMC doesn't do matinees unless it's summer usually. Even though, what did I see? I did go there. I saw Roofman there. They had a matinee for that last Friday, but they don't have anything today. Maybe I should check again. I want to go see Blue Moon. That looks pretty good. That'll probably be in and out of theaters real quick. And What was the other one? Shelby Oaks. It's a horror movie. I think that comes out this week. And Back to the Future comes out again in theaters. And I probably won't get to see it this time. I've seen it a couple times in the theater. Not any time recently. I saw it 10 years ago for the 30th anniversary, and then I saw it again. God, when did I? Oh, was it the drive-in? I don't remember. I saw it, I think, during COVID. It was in the theater, but I don't think I'll get to go. I just don't think I'm going to have time with the Ren Fair and everything else, because I don't like to come back to town Saturday and Sunday because I like to save gas, and it's a lot of miles on the car, and gas isn't cheap. And I need to do work at home. When going to town, you do end up eating a lot of time. I could be getting stuff done at home. So, I don't know. The only thing I saw playing is Tron Ares, and I don't really care about it. I don't, honestly don't remember if I've even seen the original Tron. I saw the reboot that came out like 10 years ago, and it was entertaining, but it wasn't memorable. And I have a feeling that's how this would be. And I don't have any drugs, so I'm sure it's going to be just kind of boring. And I've seen this show before, a lot of special effects, and I would like to hear the soundtrack because I know Nine Inch Nails does the music, so I'm sure it'd be entertaining. But I feel like it'll be something I'll forget about in a week. So I don't know. It'd be nice if there was like a matinee I could go to. And I have a friend that lives here, and I could go see him. But by the time I go to Kohl's, and I need to go to Hobby Lobby, and I need to go to the hardware store. By the time I do all that, it probably won't have a lot of time because he lives on the other side of town. I don't even know if he's home. And he tends to work outside. So if I text him, I don't know if he'll get the text. And I don't really want to go through all that traffic because Fayetteville's constantly under road construction now. It sucks, all these fucking people moving here. So anyway, I just thought I would try to stick with doing this because it's really easy just to stop doing videos, especially when you don't get a lot of engagement, which I don't expect. And I know it's annoying, you can hear the car in the background, and I could put my headphones on, but this thing that I bought barely keeps the phone up without it just falling down. So I guess that's about all I had. But yeah, the few of you guys that do listen to me, I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.